What a wonderful sight. Irminsul is burning, the skies are full of ash, the perfect day to take a stroll through Teyvat. You know that scene with Dottore and Pantalone at the end of Nod-Krai Act 10? This is that scene. It takes place on a full-scale copy of Teyvat, meaning I can go anywhere. But where to first? The burning tree.
Naturally.
Look at it towering over everything, raining down clumps of ash. Poor Sumeru City is stuck bearing the brunt of it, yet the city has never been brighter. See what I mean? Or maybe you don't, because you've suddenly been blinded. People who were watching in a dark room? That's gotta suck. Whoa there, that's a barrier. If I continue on, I'll get pulled in and have to deal with all that. Let's instead turn around and resume our approach of the tree. The whole tree looks like a mass of flowing lava. Inside, there's a house. Yes, a house. Imagine just going about your daily life and boom! A giant magical tree sprouts beneath and consumes your entire house in seconds. Given the tree has no collision and therefore cannot actually interact with physical things, have to admit, that'd actually be kinda cool. Open your land and home for tourism and never work a day in your life ever again. The tree's roots extend far below the ground into Chet Rackham Cave. I'm slowing this footage down immensely because it actually made me start to feel sick when recording. The cause is these expanding plumes of crimson smoke. They are numerous and rapid in their flying about and overlapping, and it's easily the most nauseating thing I've come across in Genshin Impact. Of course, one isn't supposed to be able to explore this area. The devs designed it with that in mind. I'm quite shocked it took this many years for me to stumble upon something out of bounds in Genshin that had this effect on me. Anyways, that is the burning Irminsul tree. And this is the not burning Irminsul tree. Don't worry, we'll get back to all the lovely fire and destruction in a moment. The non-burning Irminsul is literally the same, except blue and without nauseating plumes of smoke. Not much else to see with it, but figured I'd show it off before we move on. Alright, back to our little bonfire. We're going to Fontaine. Given that nation is close by, is elevated compared to the rest of Teyvat, and there's nothing but water between it and the tree, there's no better place to watch the world burn.
Naturally.
The sky went back to blue. There's actually a giant sphere around Irminsul that gives the skies this red color. Anyways, we've made it to Fontaine. Besides a good viewpoint, I have one other reason for going to Fontaine. A quick experiment. What would the world look like if I dove underwater while Irminsul burns? Would underwater also be bathed in crimson? But of course, as with any good experiment, unexpected hurdles arise. I can't dive. The option isn't there. Across all of Fontaine, the option to dive has been removed and water stamina is changed to its default yellow bar. Why this is any different from the other special versions of Teyvat where diving still existed, even the one I just explored during this very same Archon Quest in my previous video, quite frankly, I'm a little baffled. I mean, I think I understand the gist of how these worlds work. The devs load Teyvat and apply a custom set of flags and variables that load or unload object types and interactions. I'm no game developer. Do feel free to holler at me if I'm wrong about this, but I would presume that custom set of flags and variables could be copy-pasted. But with how each special version of Teyvat has differences, I'm starting to think they recreate it every single time. may not be able to dive, but getting underwater is possible by entering from out of bounds. Was hoping for crazy sights, but it looks exactly like it does in the other special versions of Teyvat. A worthwhile experiment nonetheless, for finding out diving is gone is significant, as is finding out the Melazine village tunnels are gone in this version too. Here's the view from Dragonspine. You can see the boundaries of the sphere. Said sphere is ginormous. I think the scale is pretty obvious, so I won't say much more about it except that it reaches so far down below the map that there's still no end in sight upon reaching the void out zone, which takes roughly 40 seconds of falling to reach, if our point of drop is below the very tree the sphere is part of. Back in the view from Dragonspine, that square of water near Leeway Harbor appears to be missing. On closer inspection, I think it's some sort of graphical layering issue. Descending the mountain and arriving at the base camp, this is where burning Irminsul blinks out of existence. We've reached the unload trigger for the tree and its sphere. Crossing back over the unload trigger does not load it back in. That's because the load and unload triggers are separate. Normally, they're relatively close to one another. In this case, the unload trigger is aligned with the center of Dragonspine's base camp, while the load trigger is aligned with this random hilly trail camp east of Juyun Karst. Both triggers are likely spheres themselves, but I'm going to use lines simply to illustrate the distance between the two triggers. That's a crazy amount of distance. Not that the devs would care, because nobody is supposed to be seeing this in detail. But as you surely already know by now, I like to dig up these pointless, obscure, fun details. If moving west from the burning tree, it'll vanish in much less distance. Upon reaching the Irminsul barrier between Sumeru and Atlan, the tree unloads. Earlier, in Fontaine, I had hoped for some cool sights when underwater. The idea was for skybox and filter effects to mix and form a spectacle. While that failed, I did find one such instance inside the storm of Mount Damavand. The only reason this weather effect is here is because parts of Sumeru are used throughout this special version of Teyvat, and it looks silly if this were not in the background. So, the devs kept it. With our screen blotted by sand, the fiery carnage of Irminsul becomes vivid and clear. This is Moosashi, signing off. Till next time.